This right here. Lions, this right here. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I am talking about, Detroit. The Lions have scheduled an interview with Edwin Dodds, the GM candidate, tomorrow. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
And welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we got some Lions news. The Lions will interview Ed Dodds tomorrow. And I got to say, I'm very, very happy. Yes, Ed Dodds is going to get his opportunity to interview with the Detroit Lions. I've been waiting on this, man. I'm like, Lions, why are you not interviewing this guy? Kind of weird. So the timing's very strange. So I just put up the video about Kevin Colbert, how the Lions can make a significant push. And we were talking about how, you know, it's kind of been quiet right now a little bit in GM land for the Detroit Lions. Maybe they're waiting to make that significant push and see what happens. And then, boom, 30 minutes later, the Lions will interview Ed Dodds tomorrow. Okay, well, I guess it's not that quiet. But this is a guy that the Lions, honestly, to me, they had to interview. Before you made your hiring, you got to interview this guy. To me, he came in at number 3 on my top 4 GMs, plus an honorable mention. I would have put him higher, honestly, if he would have ever been a GM before. That's probably the only reason he wasn't higher or above a guy like Rick Smith, because he's never been the GM. But I believe if he was a GM, he'd be pretty darn good at it. I think he has everything that you're looking for in terms of a guy that's never been a GM. That's the only box that he really does not check. Now, I do have a full video on Edwin or Ed Dodds. So if you guys want to check out a full, detailed, immense video on who Ed Dodds is, what he's done, what draft picks, what connections, all of that stuff, the video's already out there. You can look it up. Ed Dodds, GM candidate, DoseOfDion. It should come right up. You guys can look that up. Today's video won't be as detailed, so I just want to get that out there. This is more of me just relaying the news to you guys that the Lions will have an interview with Ed Dodds, which is awesome. I am so excited to hear that news because Ed Dodds, apparently he hasn't had any other interviews. That's from what I've taken away. He hasn't had any other interviews aside from the Carolina Panthers, which he has withdrawn himself from the GM candidacy for the Carolina Panthers. So right now, the Lions could be the only team available. Let's see how the interview goes for both sides. This could be the only team right now that he's actually still in the race for a GM position. No experience at both would concern me a little bit. But I guess if you're going to do it, if you're going to go no experience, Ed Dodds is definitely a guy that I like. So let's quickly just run through the background of Ed Dodds, who he is. And yeah, we'll just talk about him a little bit. So go back to 2003 where he started with the Raiders as a player personnel assistant. Then in 2007, he went to Seattle. And with Seattle, he was known for doing a lot of big things, bringing in a lot of players, giving a lot of credit for certain guys that they brought in for helping build the Legion of Boom, the consistency, the success that they had there, especially when he was there. He was given a lot of credit. He worked his way from starting as a national scout to being the senior personnel executive, worked his way through those ranks with Seattle. And what I like about this is he's worked with some really decorated general managers. With Seattle, John Schneider, working with John Schneider, who we've already talked about. So he has that. He worked with John Schneider, which is a very smart general manager. I'm sure he could take something from Schneider and learn from it. 10 years that he was there, 7 of them, they made the playoffs. They made the Super Bowl twice. They won 1 Super Bowl. Seattle, no, he wasn't, the general manager, and he wasn't making the final say on draft picks, but he was involved in that process, being a scout and looking for certain players. And we know Bevel was given a lot of the credit for helping find Russell Wilson because they called it Bevel's project. But he was part of when they brought in and drafted Russell Wilson, and when they hired Pete Carroll. So when they found those two things, they found consistency. You can see in the records. They were a little down, and then they found those two, and boom, they took off. And there was a lot of consistency there. They were really, really good when he was there with the Seattle Seahawks. And he went to Indianapolis. Reason he went to Indianapolis, well, he got an opportunity to be a higher role, but also he got to work with Chris Ballard, who he knew from way back. Chris Ballard, where they worked together at Texas A&M Kingsville, long time ago, like 25 plus years ago, they were working together. So night with Chris Ballard, then in Indianapolis in 2017. And just 1 year later, in 2018, he becomes the assistant general manager. The assistant general manager in 1 year. And Indianapolis has really built a strong team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. This year, they went to the playoffs. We saw them lose in the playoffs by They lost by 3 to the Buffalo Bills. They were competitive, but they lost by 3. Either way, they built a very strong team now in Indianapolis. Word's already out there. I mean, this guy has pushed for certain players. They've went on it. Kind of been known as his secret weapon is Ed Dodds. He's been involved in running some trades for them. I mean, look, he does a lot of things that kind of go under the radar. So the Colts don't want to lose him. The Colts do not want to lose this guy. So they're hoping that he stays that big guy and say, hey, keep working with Chris Ballard. Come on, that's your friend. The Colts don't want to lose this guy. Remember from the first time we talked about Ed Dodds, one of the issues was he may not want to be a general manager because Ed Dodds is not a very loud, outspoken guy, not a very media happy kind of guy. Like, he's not looking for media attention. He just does his work, and that's why he's so great at what he does. But the fact that he has the resume that he does, and he's had one interview and he withdrew himself, just kind of tells you, how he goes about things. He's picky, he's not very out there. He just kind of likes what he does. But the fact that he's accepted doing an interview with Detroit, maybe he will be interested, and I really hope that he is. We'll see. I mean, there's a very good chance that he won't be because he hasn't been really anywhere else. But that is a good sign. Maybe Detroit to him is the perfect challenge because he's very competitive. He wants to win games. So maybe he's looking at this, hey, if I'm going to leave and become a GM, I'm going to go somewhere where I can literally make history, where I can cement myself as a certified legend. If you ask people around the league who the best scout is, most of the time it'll be Ed Dodds. Ed Dodds' name will come up because he's just that good of a scout. He just has that good of an eye for talent. Also, what I love about Ed Dodds is I just love this guy's mindset. It's incredible. Here's his mindset. So 2018, right? They win the playoff. They win a wild card game. Finished second division. They win a wild card game. And apparently there was a lot of hype around the Colts. Hey, here's how good they are, what they can be. There was hype around the Colts. Now remember, he's only been here for a year, but there's a lot of hype around the Colts. Apparently, Ed Dodds gathered a whole bunch of scouts together, all these scout buddies that he had. They went to a bar. This is the report. They went to a bar, and he told them this. Now, I'm going to say bleep, but y'all know, you guys can fill in the blanks. We ain't did bleep yet. We won a bleeping wild card game, and they would lose their next game 31-13 to the Chiefs. All right. This guy was not happy with that. Not satisfied by just winning a wild card game. So I thought that was great. I think that quote, I think that on its own, that's just whole scenario that played out is just funny. But I also think it's the kind of mindset that you definitely need from a guy that he's all about winning. All right. This guy is strictly business. And that's probably why he's had so much success with his scouting and what he's done and why he speaks so highly of and why people really want to keep him. I mean, Indianapolis wants to keep this guy. And again, he's kind of picky, kind of like your own, George Patton. He seems to be a little picky with where he wants to go. Now, what ties does he have? Matt Eberflus, I think it's Eberflus. I don't know, is it Eberflus? I really don't know how to say his dude's name, but it's the DC for Indianapolis. But I can tell you this about him. I would love the Lions to interview this guy as well. They haven't done it yet, but I'm telling you, if this Ed Dodds interview goes well, they got to schedule one with Matt. They at least got to try because I'm telling you, Matt, the defensive coordinator, if you're going to look at DCs for the head coach position, and you're not going to bring in a guy that's proven at GM or head coach, let's just say hypothetically, look at Matt. All right. His resume as a defense coordinator is impressive. That means at Toledo, at Missouri, and now at Indianapolis. They built a top defense at Indianapolis. His resume is impressive at 3 different places. You got to take a look at him. Right now, he's currently the DC for Indianapolis, so clearly, there's a connection there. There's also a slight connection with him and Robert Saleh. Probably not on the same level of a connection, but this goes back to their time in Seattle. Robert Saleh is working as a defensive quality control coach. Ed Dodds was also there, but he was at a higher rank in Seattle. He was never the assistant GM. So probably at a lower level of connection, but they did work together at one point, so that's why people draw that together. If I'm going to mention those 2 outside connections, I got to mention the third one. Can you guess it? That's right. It's Darrell Bevell. Darrell Bevell also has connection. This goes back to Seattle because when he was in Seattle, Darrell Bevell was the offensive coordinator for Seattle. So that's a strong connection as well. So there's 3 connections here. Darrell Bevell, Robert Saleh, Matt Eberflus. There's 3 straight-up connections here. 2 of those guys have had interviews. 1 hasn't. We're going to bring Darrell Bevell. This could be a guy that maybe if he likes him, they'll probably ask him in an interview, hey, how do you feel about this guy? If you feel about this guy, how do you feel about this guy? They could ask about all 3. I'm telling you, if Sheila Ford, if the Lions did any type of basic research, they would know how much success interim head coaches actually had in Detroit's history, including Wayne Fontes, who won the playoff game for Detroit. This guy deserved an interview with we needed to interview Ed Dodds for this position just to see. I mean, look, he's very picky. He may not want to go here. He withdrew himself from Carolina. He hasn't left yet. Teams have been interested. He just hasn't left, okay? He just keeps working as assistant GM. He likes to work with Chris Ballard. So it would probably take a lot to pull him away from that into what he's currently doing right now. But it would be a step up. He's never been a GM before. It would be an opportunity that he's never gotten. And again, the challenge is there. If you can do it, you will be an absolute legend in Detroit Lions history. So I'm telling you, man, I like Ed Dodds. That's just a quick little sum up of who he is. But I think this is a great move for the Detroit Lions to interview him. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how this plays out. But what I'm liking right now is there are some nice names. I'm liking some of the names out there. You got your Rick Smith, who's already interviewed. You got your Ed Dodds now, who's coming up. You got your Steelers guy, Kevin Colbert. If you're going to try to make a push from him, I definitely would. Kevin Colbert is still way up there for me. No question about it. Easily way up there for me if you could somehow snake him out of Pittsburgh. You got some big names, though, out there. Who else did I say? I said Rick Smith already. I don't know. You got some George Patton. That's a nice name. You got some nice GM names. So I'm telling you right now, Lions got a nice little list going on here. Let's see how this interview goes with Ed Dodds. hoping it goes well. We'll quickly touch on some of the draft picks that they have made, but it's been about really fixing that defense with Indianapolis. So again, if you guys want a full breakdown on his draft picks at both places, you know, what he was actually involved in, players that he pushed for, again, that's in the pros and cons video. But a couple of names, I mean, defensively, just taking a look at 2017, out of your Malik Hookers, and then he did a good job of landing on some good talent late, like Marlon Mack. 2018 was an incredible draft, in my opinion. Quentin Nelson, Darius Leonard, that's a very good player. Naheem Hines, who they hit on in the 4th round. Jordan Wilkins. I mean, there's some nice names there. 2019, Rock Ya-Sin, Paris Campbell, Kyrie Willis, Marvell Tell. I like some of the names there. I mean, there's some nice names. And then most recently, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, Julian Blackman, Jacob Eason. I mean, there's some good. Jordan Glasgow. Come on, man. There's a lot to like here with this guy. So, again, if you guys want a full, intense breakdown, there is that video. I'll link it. I'll probably find it, and I'll put the link in the comment section. So, check that out. But that said, Dodds, good job, Lions. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.